All right, and we're live. Welcome in, everybody. Episode 37, Mad Talk Sports. Your usual host here, a very happy Packers fan, and that's Joe speaking to you now. But today we have a premier guest in Kyle. I'll let you introduce yourself as the sad Bears fan.
I'm just the sad Bears fan. I have nothing else to say.
Yeah, fair enough. And Kyle and I had this deal on the table well before the game. This was a few weeks in advance to where we agreed Kyle was going to come on here and the winner would have the bragging rights and the loser was going to have to take it. And I was happy to oblige, knowing damn well at the time that the hype around the Bears made that a very even matchup. The Bears were favored, but Kyle, the Packers won. What do you have to say for yourself?
The Bears suck, dude. I knew they were going to lose the game on the first 3rd and 1 when they had the Cole Kmet under center. And then the next play on 4th and 1, they didn't do the Jalen Hurts push play like they should have. They just had him try to bull through 7 guys on the Packers D line.
Yep.
I knew the game was over after that happened. It's just terrible play calling.
It was just too galaxy brained, you know? They're like, they'll never see Cole Kmet sneak coming. Why would they see that coming when we've got the best running quarterback in football?
Yeah, and we have the worst interior offensive line in the league. They got demolished the whole game.
They did get bullied. And, you know, Kenny Clark's a beast, but like, you guys made him look pretty damn good. You guys made him look like he was Chris Jones or something out there.
And who's the other D tackle you guys got from Georgia a few years ago?
Devontae Wyatt.
Deontay
Wyatt.
Yeah. Man, it's made me so mad. That offensive line can't block. The defensive line can't get any pressure at all.
None.
The linebackers can't. All they do is they have mass tackles, which looks good on the stat sheet, but they had no real impact on the game.
Well, is that on them, or does that start with the line?
Well, the defensive line, it starts on the line. They can't, they just get bowled over every time. And then Tremaine Edmonds and TJ Edwards, they're both great linebackers, but there's nothing you can do when you have 2 free linemen just running at you every play to block you,
Yeah. Yeah, you guys you're kind of like the opposite of the Lions. Obviously both teams that have gone recently through a rebuild and, coming off some down years, but the Lions started inside. It was O-line. That's where the draft picks go. D-line, that's where the draft picks go. You guys invested a pick in the O-line this past year at the tackle position.
Darnell Wright.
Yeah, right. He's from what, Tennessee?
Yep. 10th pick, I think, because we traded with the Eagles.
But that was like the first time, right? Like recent picks, like was obviously, Justin Fields. Didn't you trade a pick?
We traded. Well, we have had, I think, in the last 5 years, 2 first-round picks because Ryan Pace, the past GM, just kept trading them in the Mac trade, and then he was trying to save his job. So he moved up in the Fields draft, and he sent the Giants our first-round pick the year after Fields' rookie year. And, like, those are just so many. For a team that's not good, you need young talent,
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
I don't know what to say.
I feel for you. So that was Pace, and now it's another Ryan. It's Poles. Do you like him better? Is he doing is he building a better squad?
It's really hard to tell because last year, his first year's GM, he traded everyone. He got rid of Khalil Mack. He cut Akeem Hicks. He traded Robert Quinn and Roquan Smith during the season. Yep. So what was an elite defense became, one of the worst in the league. And I don't know, I like Jaquan Brisker, the safety he drafted. He's pretty good.
Yeah, he's nice.
Kyler Gordon's okay.
What's the corner?
Kyler Gordon.
What about the other one? Isn't there like a
Tyreek Stevens? No, Jalen Johnson was the past. Ryan Pace drafted him.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, but not good so far. But I'm willing to give him time. Because our starting left tackle he found in the 5th round his first year. So, it's like, his later round guys have been decent, but he drafted Velus Jones in the 3rd round and he's been a healthy scratch. Like 10 of the 17 games he's been healthy to play. That's, you don't want that.
Yep.
I just hasn't been good.
Speaking of a healthy scratch, I've been listening to a lot of Chicago sports radio this week because I work with Bears fans. I work in Illinois, and one of the things I heard is that there's speculation that a healthy scratch in week 2 might be Chase Claypool.
He should be. He sucked. He was terrible that game. Like, I don't understand. EQ, Equanimeous St. Brown, was a healthy scratch last game. He's one of the best blocking receivers in the league. And it's like, why not play him when we are a run-heavy offense and we do all the screen passes? Like, why not have one of the best blocking receivers out? Why have him on the bench when Chase Claypool could not care less to block or do anything besides run routes where he's the main target?
Yeah.
It's infuriating.
Well, because you guys gave up like a second and I want to say like a fifth or something for him.
We gave up a second, which ended up being the 32nd pick, which in a normal draft would be the last pick of the first round. So
yeah. Infuriate. Just
yes.
Very maddening with Chase Claypool. So hopefully he picks it up. DJ Moore, non-factor, and
2 targets. Like, come on.
I'd rather 2 targets, 2 catches at least.
Yeah, but then they took him out every time we got to the red zone. Like, what are we doing?
Not happy about that. I have him in our fantasy league.
Oh yeah, I'm just not happy. But like, we could have got, if you didn't want to use him, we could have got like a Brian Burns or something from the an elite pass rusher.
Way. They wouldn't have given him for it.
No. I saw something in the offseason. The players the Panthers were willing to give up were DJ Moore, Derek Brown, their D tackle, was pretty good, and Brian Burns, because he needed an extension, and they don't know if they're going to give him one.
You know who you could have used that game? Brian Burns.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I thought Yannick Ngakoue would have been, a little bit better, but I don't think he's very good. He got 1 sack, but, he didn't do anything else besides that, really.
Yeah. Jordan Love was never under pressure, and he dotted you guys up as a result.
Oh, yeah, you didn't even have Aaron Jones for what he got hurt in like the 3rd quarter.
Yeah, mid to late 3rd, and no Watson either.
No, yeah. Sucks, man.
That's tough.
I don't think we're going to beat the Buccaneers this week either.
Oh, boy.
Because they have fucking Vita Vea is going to destroy that interior offensive line.
Yeah, he's making me want to bench Khalil Herbert in fantasy too.
Probably should.
He gets some catches in the pass game, right?
Yeah, but Roschon Johnson kind of like is better than him.
You think?
Yes. Because all Khalil Herbert is good at is like the big explosive runs. That's all he's really good for. Roschon has the better hands. He's a better blocker. He's harder runner. Like that one. I don't know who the safety was that he trucked and almost kept running. Yeah, that he almost kept running over him, but they took out his legs as he was trying to just keep running over him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's kind of like David Montgomery in that sense, but I think he's just a little bit faster.
I would agree with that. And I kind of thought the same thing watching it live, especially that angry run where he ran over Rudy Ford.
Yeah.
I said it out loud at the time. I was like, damn it. I'm like, he's going to be better than Herbert in my fantasy pick down the drain.
Yeah. But I don't know if I can't even tell if the Packers are good or not. The Bears are just still that bad. We were the worst team in the league last year,
I do think you guys are better than what you looked. I don't think you're a good team, but
no, definitely not.
I don't think you're the worst team in the league either.
Yeah.
Like, I do think there'll be games this year where Justin Fields did what he did towards the end of last year, where he had like several explosive runs, even a few nice big plays in the pass game to where you guys' offense looks great and the defense gives up a lot of points. But I think this year, with the additions on defense, you could win more of those games. I still see you guys being a 6-7 win team, which is nothing to write home about, but
but they'll double our win total from last year. It's something. I just don't think Eberflus is the head coach, though.
I agree.
I think he's just a tank commander.
The tank commander?
Yes. Like, he was never a good defensive coordinator. His Colts defenses were always middle of the pack. It's like,
it's fair.
I don't know. I want the Lions OC to be the next Bears head coach. Ben Johnson, I think
Yeah.
his name is. Yeah.
Well, if he has another good year, he'll definitely be a head coach somewhere.
Yeah.
Well, for the Bears, it's continuing the process of evaluating Justin Fields. But as for the Packers, we are taking a victory lap in our continued ownership of the Chicago Bears. And we still got a lot to see. You know, everything looked easy for Jordan Love because, again, it kind of was not a whole lot of resistance. He looked poised, though. So I liked everything I saw. But again, I'm realistic. I know we didn't beat the Niners or anything like that.
Yeah.
So it'll be like a month before we really know what the Packers are.
Agreed.
But I am definitely hopeful, and I very much enjoyed that game. And I know for you, Kyle, that had to be your least favorite game. But what was your favorite game from week 1?
Probably the Dolphins-Chargers game. The offense is just going back and forth and there's some big defensive plays too, but just Tua, Tyreek Hill just getting big play after big play. Like the Chargers couldn't stop him. It was insane. I'm forgetting the Chargers. Brandon Staley. He was supposed to be a defensive guy, but he has all those guys on his defense, and they just can't stop anyone ever. It's crazy.
It's sad because that offense is good, and they ran the ball really well. I think Kellen Moore is going to be a very positive influence on that offense. But if the defense can't stop a nosebleed, it's useless.
Well, they would have beat like any other team in the league with that score this week, though, pretty much. Yeah.
But then you've got to think obviously they're not going to play the Dolphins every week, but in the AFC, you still play some tough teams.
They play the Chiefs in their division twice still.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I don't even know who else is on their schedule, but they probably still have some tough matchups for offense, you know?
Yep. And this is a game that because last year, I thought it was so interesting because last year the Chargers were the team that solved the Dolphins, remember? They're on Sunday Night Football. I believe that one was in LA too. And the Chargers played like an aggressive bump and run kind of style with their corners, and it just destroyed Tua. He had nothing to do. But then this year they just ripped the Chargers to shreds. So, huge credit to the Dolphins. The Chargers, you got too much talent to be looking like that.
Especially on that D line. I don't think they had one sack, and they have Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack at both ends. And how I don't understand that. How they can't get pressure with those two.
Yeah. And
maybe they're not as good as they used to be or something. I don't know.
Well, I think that's true for Khalil Mack. He's definitely not what he was when he was with you guys. That's for sure. Yeah. And he isn't even what he was with the Raiders either.
Oh, definitely not.
Joey Bosa, that's tough for me. He's obviously a great talent, but it always feels like he leaves a little meat on the bone. I feel like he could be doing a little bit more.
Yeah, especially when you see his brother come in and just be, depoy last year. I always thought Joey would be the better one.
Right.
But guess not.
No, the younger brothers. But yeah, definitely a great game. I kind of wish I would have been able to catch more of it, but since it was in the 3:00 window, my attention was Packers Bears.
Yeah, I just caught a replay of it. I watched it. Really exciting.
Yeah, it definitely looked like it from everything that I saw. And I figured that might be the route that you would go. So I tried to think of something else because obviously that was a great game.
Yeah.
So I think maybe the next best matchup, or one that I at least enjoyed a lot, and I was surprised, especially with how it started, but Jets Bills, honestly, by the end it was kind of a battle of the suck between the offenses, but just the arc and everything, obviously everyone had their hearts ripped out to start everything, and Rodgers had his Achilles ripped off.
I never thought I would feel bad for Aaron Rodgers.
I bet.
Yeah, I actually wanted to see him play for once, I want to see how that Jets team would do. They're so stacked.
And especially because of how they ended up winning anyways, it makes you even more man, we could have watched something awesome. That defense is great.
Oh, they're stacked. Cornyn Williams, I think he might win depoy.
That would be awesome. An interior lineman, other than Aaron Donald.
Well, yeah, him and Dexter Lawrence, I think those are the next two guys up to be the big dominant defensive linemen. Right now it's Donald and Chris Jones, but I think those two are up next.
Speaking of Chris Jones, he's back next week, so that's awesome. Or at least he's signed, so he's eligible to be back.
He should. I saw something he should be able to play this week.
Good.
I saw he was keeping in shape throughout the off season.
Good. So. He'll definitely go a long way for the Chiefs. But before moving on from Jets, Bills, like obviously we got to talk a little bit of Rodgers. We feel bad. You mentioned even as a sad Bears fan, you feel sad for Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
And my first reaction was just like, man, this is just unfair for Jets fans. Like they're just so cursed. And
yeah, it was his fourth play as a Jet, right?
Yeah. He had 3 pass plays, all 3 he took a hit, and then 1 run play.
Yeah, dude. And it's crazy. The dude who sacked him, Leonard Floyd, he always kills Rodgers when they play. I don't know why.
That's fair.
He destroys him. I think he just doesn't like him personally or something.
I think maybe because you guys drafted Leonard Floyd.
Yeah, he played with us for 5 years, and he went to the Rams, and now he's on the Bills.
Yep. That was a great signing by them. But
yeah.
I think it was a freak injury in a lot of ways. We'll get to it pretty shortly here regarding the turf, but you just hate to see it like so soon too. But the game itself was actually riveting. Like Zach Wilson, at first when he came in, it's like, hey, he looks pretty good. And then he throws that terrible pick and you're like, never mind, this game is over. And then somehow he still leads a game-tying drive and they end up winning the game. Like football doesn't make sense sometimes.
I think an underrated story from that game is Breece Hall just being good already again. It's insane.
What do you have, 150 yards?
Something like that. His first run was like 60-ish yards, I think. Like one of his, like the first quarter or something. Insane. I thought Dalvin Cook was going to come in and take a lot of that work to begin with, but he looks washed. He looks washed up.
I know. And I've been the king of that train of Dalvin Cook is washed for 2 years now. And then I still drafted him in fantasy because I tricked myself into thinking Breece Hall is going to take a month. Dalvin Cook will give me 4 games until I get JT back in that league. Yeah. And here I looking like a chump again. Now I'm starting Brian Robinson.
It's not bad though.
No, I mean, it's fine. But like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
he definitely looks slow. Breece Hall, by comparison, looks like Tyreek Hill damn near. So yeah, excellent point. He looked really good, just the burst that he had. And I made fun of Robert Saleh during Hard Knocks because it felt like every time someone ran past him, he goes, man, that guy's fast. But he said that about Breece Hall in that at some point too, and that's just absolutely true. Like that man's home run speed is amazing. And I think in about 6 weeks, that long run he had, that 80-yarder, will be a touchdown. Right. Yeah. He's still getting his legs under him, and he still looked fast.
I think the biggest person of the Jets that, it's Garrett Wilson. Like, his season is going to like be the most different out of all those guys. Like people were betting for him to be like offensive player of the year before this season. And now he has Zach Wilson throwing it to him again.
I know. It was my pick for offensive player of the year.
Damn.
Well, if you recall in our fantasy league, I took him 7th overall. Like I was really all in on the Rodgers to Wilson connection. That being said, Wilson last year still had like 1,100 yards, and he showed on Monday he's still that guy.
Yeah, it's just going to be harder now,
Yeah.
Unless Wilson actually learned something from Rodgers this off, which maybe he could have.
Maybe
maybe he was just rattled coming into this game when he didn't expect to play. But,
the memes about it were hilarious. It'll be like those scared straight videos where they're ripping someone out of bed, and they're like Zach Wilson when they say he's got to go in the game, like. That's a good point. I'm kind of not excited to see him, but I'm kind of interested.
Yeah,
fascinated is a good word. Like I'm curious to see how things play out with Zach Wilson and then just the Jets in general. I don't think they're cooked actually, and I'll kind of talk about that a little bit later here. But let's carry on towards the end of our week 1 recap here, which I should turn that ticker on real quick. Come on. And show. Okay. So let's do some medalists for week 1. This is a good way to kind of give flowers to the people who deserve it. So we'll go, bottom up. So we'll start with, each other going bronze before we move on to silver and then gold. Kyle, who you got as a bronze medalist from week 1?
Brandon Ayuk.
Wow.
He looks amazing. I think by the end of the season, he will be in the conversation for like a top 10, 5 receiver in the league. Him and Brock Purdy have this amazing connection. It's crazy to watch, especially a few years ago when he was in Shanahan's like doghouse and barely playing. And now he looks like, he can beat any corner in the league. He can beat like any defense. I think he's amazing. Not just because he's on my fantasy team, but I just think he's one of the best receivers in the league. I wanted the Bears to trade for him this offseason, but obviously that didn't happen,
Nope.
So
you got DJ Moore. That's a good pick. I didn't think about it, but yeah, he had 2 touchdowns, right? And
yeah, and like 120 something receiving yards. Yeah, against a good Steelers defense too.
Right. And even though the Niners mopped them, like I think that Steelers team is better than they looked. The Niners are just, as advertised.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ayuk, I like that one a lot. And yeah, I think he's going to be gold for you in fantasy all year long. I kind of went a little bit of a different route with my bronze medal. I gave it to someone in the first game. I gave it to Dan Campbell for the Lions. I am very vocal on the fact that I think the Lions were very lucky, very fortunate to win that game. Chiefs being without Travis Kelce, Chris Jones, and
second and third best players,
Right. And then, Kadarius Toney was missing two of his, hands. So
that was so bad.
It was very bad. So, I give them crap for that, but they still really gutted that game out, especially Dan Campbell on that first 4th down on their first touchdown drive. That was balls. And at the time I was like, well, awesome, but you're still at your own 20. Now what? But then they march down and score and they win by 1. So like that was the difference of the game. Like that man and his, 500 milligrams of caffeine every morning, like he deserves credit, man.
Dude. Every quarter he gets 500 milligrams of caffeine.
Well, did you see in his press conference, he said about like how much he drinks. He's like, I get 2 of the Ventis every morning from Starbucks. And then I have them put 2 shots of espresso in there, like dink, dink, and then I drink them both. Like, what?
You can tell by the way he talks. Like that team loves and respects him as a coach.
Oh, I'd love to play for Dan Campbell.
Oh yeah, we never had a coach like that. We never had someone our team could respect.
Oh, okay. Well, let's not go too far. We had Hearns. Come on, shout out.
Oh yeah. JV.
Yeah, best coach I ever played for personally. But yeah, that's where I went on the bronze medalist. Silver, I kind of had to hold myself back and not putting this guy higher, but come on. Jordan Love, silver medal. Really good game. Passer rating obviously looked good. TD interception ratio, I mentioned earlier, he just looked really comfortable and poised. And even more so, he was 8 for 10 on 3rd and 4th down for a perfect passer rating. So he played well. He
did. I've given him shit ever since he got drafted, because I've always just been like, are we sure he's actually good if he's going to be on the bench this long? And it looks like I'm wrong. I know nothing about quarterbacks. I'm a Bears fan. I thought Trubisky was going to be the guy.
Well, and then you thought Fields was going to be the guy. Do you still feel that way?
I mean, he could, but like it's looking less and less as this. I think we're on a 12-game losing streak now. Like going back to last year, like the more we keep losing, the less I kind of like. I don't know if he can actually win games. Like he can put up highlights and like stats in fantasy, but like I don't know if he can actually make big plays to win games. I don't know.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't know. I think I saw his record now as a starter is 5-21. So it ain't great. At some point, it's got to be on yourself.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as Jordan Love, hats off. I hope he does it again this week. We will certainly see again as he goes against a much improved Atlanta defense. Who do you got at silver, Kyle?
The Tua and Tyreek Hill connection. That is my silver medalists of the week. Tyreek Hill looks like he'd go for 2,000 yards this year if Tua stays healthy.
Yeah.
Like he came into the league, everyone was, discounting his arm, but it looks like he's just improved it every offseason. He looks stronger and stronger every year.
That's fair.
as a thrower. And like he was always accurate, but now that he is both, it's like if he stays healthy, it's kind of hard to be like, how do you stop this offense, especially when you have Jalen Waddle,
Yeah.
who's like the JV Tyreek Hill kind of, on the other side. Like it, and then you have all those running backs who are just so fast you could just dump it off to, and yeah,
There's so many of them that even if
yeah,
one gets hurt, they're fine.
yeah. They was like, oh, let's get some other guy that's played in the Shanahan system, and he'll come in and just randomly run for 100 yards during 1 week.
Yep.
Like, who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah. Did you see the video of Tua in the interview when they're like, so what do you think when people say you still can't throw deep? And then he's like, I don't care. He's like, 466 yards.
Yeah. that was so cool, especially because he seemed like to be the most hated in that draft class for no real reason. Like people loved Burrow and Herbert right away, and last year everyone loved Hurts. That they're all deserved, but like it felt like just because he wasn't as good as those guys right away, that like people were like, "Oh, you suck." It's like he was always decent. He just kept. He didn't have McDaniel his first 2 years.
No.
And then last year he was looking really good. Remember that game against the Ravens? He threw like 6 touchdowns last year.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was
all
a
those
game.
Concussions.
Right. And that Ravens game was a game they were down big early where, they had to rally and that game was nuts. I kind of forget about that game. You're right. He does get a little bit of hate, and I'm included on that list in terms of, not the biggest Tua believers.
Yeah.
But at his best, he's a beast. And, to add to your point, he seems like he gets bigger every year, and like he's, really investing his time in his body, which is a really big thing. I think part of why he's hated might just be the fact that like when Brian Flores was there, Brian Flores just seemed to not like Tua and would bench him for Fitzpatrick multiple times.
Yeah.
So I think that's where it comes from, and people like Fitzpatrick. So maybe.
Yeah. I think Tua's in for a big season.
He could be, which would spell a lot of trouble for the rest of the AFC in terms of people trying to make it in.
I got something to talk about that in a little bit.
Oh boy. I think that's going to be your hot take. Who do you got at gold for week 1?
Oh, just the Cowboys in general. They destroyed the Giants on Sunday night. They did everything right. They didn't do anything wrong. They looked like the perfect football team on Sunday night. Like, I have nothing else to say about that. They just looked perfect.
They did. And that makes me feel good because I feel smart having been a big Cowboys cheerleader this offseason, even though I perpetually have hated their fans in the past. But yeah, they looked awesome. That D-line looked phenomenal. And I think the Gilmore-Diggs combo at corner is going to be even better than I thought.
Oh, yeah. It's crazy. They got Gilmore, I think for like a 4th round pick, they got Gilmore from the Colts.
Yep.
And like he wasn't washed. The Colts were just like, oh, we don't want you anymore. You're old. We want young guys.
Yeah, the Colts were like, we're done. Like, we're not competing anytime soon. Let's just get a pick for them.
Yeah. Which, smart for them, but, any team really could have had them if they wanted them.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I love that pick. I mean, the Cowboys, hats off. They were fantastic. My gold was actually your silver, kind of. I specifically said Tua. Yeah. And part of that is just the fact of, when people prove me wrong, I like to give them props. I did pick the Dolphins, though. That was one of my wins from week 1. So, Tua, excellent week. Excited to see how he does against New England, which we'll get into a little bit later.
That'll be a good game.
I agree. I'm excited to talk about that one. Last thing specific to the recap for week 1, Kyle, any hot takes that you have coming out of week 1?
Dolphins are going to win the AFC.
Woo. AFC championship or be the 1 seed or both?
Both. I think because they got Vic Fangio as their D coordinator now, and I love him as a D coordinator. His defenses have always been elite. And they have Jalen Ramsey.
Like a Chicago fan.
Yeah. He was great with Chicago. He was great as a D coordinator with the Broncos, not a good head coach. No. He was a great D coordinator. And they still have Jalen Ramsey coming back from injury, I think around week 8 or so.
Yeah.
But if they keep winning, they could, maybe to just afford to rest them a little bit longer.
That's fair.
Jalen Phillips, their D end, is going to be a Pro Bowler this year. He looks great.
I like him.
Yeah. I think they're just stacked.
That's a bold take, Kyle. Wow.
Yeah,
Oh,
the Bills look weaker and weaker every year. Like
yep.
they're not hitting on, like, I think I saw something this week that they've drafted one Pro Bowler since the 2019 draft. Like
Mm,
like when
wow.
when you have an expensive wide receiver and quarterback and other,
You need to hit on
players now, yeah, you need to hit on the cheap talent. They just have
him.
been doing that. Their first round pick from last year, Kyer Elam, was a healthy scratch week 1. Like, you can't have that if you're a contending team.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that stinks for the Bills. I did not know that about the draft because the Packers went through that in the Rodgers era, like right in the
Yeah,
middle when the Packers
especially
kind of
on
like,
defense.
yes, exactly. Like miss, 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 miss. Like, oh,
Yeah.
that can catch up fast. And then your Super Bowl window shuts for a little bit before you have to pry it back open. So
Yeah.
I don't hate the pick with the Dolphins. They wouldn't be my first pick, but there's a lot of reason to be happy for, or, excited about them and very optimistic about what they could do.
Yeah.
That's going to be your reel that I make from from this episode, Kyle, is that the Dolphins will win the AFC.
I'm confident in it.
It's a good pick, but then now everyone's going to be looking at my page. And last time when John was on here, I said about how the Bills are going to, get over the hump this year. And then I'm going to do the Dolphins one. Everyone's going to be like, this guy's fucking all over the place. But yeah, I like that hot take. This is always a hard one,
I've got another one if you want to think for a second.
Do you have plenty just in the chamber?
I got like 2 more that I think.
No, lay them on me.
Trevor Lawrence, MVP.
Woo! He was my pick too. Let's go.
Yeah, he looked great week 1. Him and Calvin Ridley are going to be a great connection. And then they still have Zay Jones and Christian Kirk and Travis Etienne for him to throw to. Evan Ingram, I didn't even mention him. I think he's going to fucking put up numbers. And I think they're going to be like a 10 to 12 win team, and he's going to get, the new guy. Everyone's going to vote for him to be MVP. I think he's going to win MVP.
I like that. And like I said, that was in my pick too. I actually have the Jaguars as my 1 seed in the AFC when it's all said and done, because their schedule stinks.
Yeah,
like they have a very easy
South.
Right. You have 6 games against the Colts, the Texans, and the Titans. And then I do think they also play the NFC South, if I'm not mistaken.
They suck too.
Exactly. Like they've got it made in the shade this year. Wow. All right. Let's hear number 3. You're so far. I like them.
What did I write down? 49ers win the Super Bowl. Not much of a hot take, but I think this is the year they do it.
Man.
Yeah.
They looked good. I really don't want them to win the Super Bowl, but God damn it, they're a good team.
I think of them as kind of like the Celtics of the NFL. Like they're always, they're always in like the NFC Championship. Yeah, they're always in the NFC Championship. Something happens, like, they do something dumb or someone gets hurt and they lose. And the year they make it, they're right there. But one of the all-time greats, like the Celtics lost to Steph Curry. They lost to Pat Mahomes. They were like right there. But then the other guy just takes over and proves why they're one of the best of all time.
Yeah. Wow. I like him.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of those. For my bold take, I wanted to go something that I wasn't already predicting, because then it's, how bold is that really?
Yeah.
Because, I've had some things that would still be considered bold, but that I've, already said before.
I've just never put these out into the, the ether. So
right.
I had a few.
Yeah, exactly. So my new hot take is that the Rams are going to make the playoffs.
They look good.
They looked good. Puka Nacua.
Yeah. Tutu Atwell.
Yeah.
Kyren Williams. It all depends if Stafford can stay healthy, though.
Well, the O-line looked pretty good, I thought.
Yeah, I didn't really catch much of that game. I just saw some of the highlights.
Yep.
But like I think the Seahawks are kind of in for a regression year. Like their defense still isn't very good. I don't know if Geno Smith can just like,
if he's the real deal.
Yeah. Like it was last year, just kind of lightning in a bottle and kind of a weaker bottom of, weaker half of like the NFC last year. The bottom half was pretty weak. I think they made it I think they were 9-8 or 8-9. I can't remember.
9-8. They backed their way into the playoffs. That was the Packers' spot to lose.
And they lost it.
Yeah. Thank you, Kyle.
Yeah.
Don't make me turn myself to Joe, sad Packers fan. Come on. It's in the past. That's fair. I did pick the Seahawks to get one of my last wild card spots originally, but it's very possible that they regress, even though they did bring in good talent. I like their offseason. I like their team.
That D tackle they brought in, I really like. I forgot his name. Draymond Jones, I think is his name. He was on the Broncos last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's pretty good. I like him. I wanted the Bears to get him, but they didn't. Obviously, they didn't. They said no help on the D line.
They're like, no, let's go get more tight ends.
Yeah. Let's go get Mercedes Lewis and Big Bob Tonyan.
Big Bob. Yep. So, I like what the Rams did. It's not necessarily that I think Puka Nacua is the new Cooper Kupp, but just the fact that they were able to win this game, if they can win one or two more while Cooper Kupp is out and they can just stay afloat, once he comes back, they can go on to be a 9-10 win team and squeak into the playoffs. And I like what I saw. I think them being a young team is actually good, and people forget about Sean McVay.
Oh, yeah. Last year was a down year, and all these other, Mike McDaniel was going off last year, and like all of his assistants were doing good. Yep. And people are like, are we sure it wasn't, all these other guys he worked with before?
They carried him.
Yeah. And Aaron Donald being healthy, you can't discount that.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a transcendent player when he's healthy. So absolutely agree. That was my main hot take. I guess another quick one. The Browns are going to make the playoffs. I already said that. Browns are going to make the playoffs, even though Deshaun Watson is going to stink.
He didn't look too bad in their game.
I'm not going to say he's like the worst in the league, but
he's not like he's probably like around the 12th best quarterback in the league now.
That's what I said last week. But
yeah, their defense is just so good, though.
Yeah. The addition of Zadarius Smith is huge for that D-line.
Yeah, Myles Garrett never had someone on the line with him like that.
They thought Jadeveon Clowney could be that, but Zadarius is way better than Jadeveon has ever been.
Clowney was I was a big Clowney guy when he was going into the draft.
Yeah, because of that hit.
Yeah, everyone around our age when that happened, like, oh, he's going to be the best player ever. But, he's a good, really like run defender, but he's never been the best pass rusher in the NFL.
Yep. I absolutely agree. Okay, well, let's move away from week one into a returning segment, one we haven't done in a little bit. The Question King, and I am, Joe, Mopey Secret 43, aka the Question King. So, Kyle, I'm asking you the questions. I'm not even going to answer myself. I'm just going to be laying these up for you. You take them as you please. All right?
Okay.
First of which, the turf monster. Is it real? And let me set the stage. The turf monster, if you are unaware, injuries are proven to be statistically more common, especially soft tissue injuries, on turf rather than on real grass. Kyle, is the turf monster real?
I would say yes. If you look at especially at MetLife, I saw a tweet the other day. It showed 20 players have torn ligaments on that field since the 2020 season, just on that field alone. And players are coming out all over the place. Even if they don't get a big injury on turf, they're coming out and saying their body just feels like shit after they play on turf compared to grass. It's insane that these billionaire, millionaire owners can't pay for grass maintenance, on these fields when they invest so much in these teams and their players. I don't get it. I think football should be played on grass. I always preferred when we played on grass, even in just high school, compared to a turf field, because just landing on turf, it just hurts so much more than grass,
Yep. Yeah. I would imagine, concussions are more common on turf than grass too, just because there's no give.
Yeah. It's such a harder surface.
So do you think the NFL should step in and just mandate that these owners implement real grass into their stadiums?
I think they should, but can they? Because every decision the league has to make has to be voted on by the owners,
Yep.
So Goodell could just be we could put up to a vote, but all the owners that are cheap and don't want to do it could just be like, no, we don't want to change,
No thanks.
Yeah, like we'll let our players get hurt. We don't care.
They're like, we're gonna rake in money regardless.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they should all go to grass though.
I would agree. Packers and Bears know what's up. Outdoor teams. All right. Moving on to the next question from the Question King. After week 1, Kyle, based on everything that we've seen, who should be the most concerned?
Like teams or players or what?
Yes.
Okay. I think wait, what I write down? I think the Giants and the Bills. I think the Bills, because Josh Allen is just kind of looked like shit since he got hurt last year and decided to keep playing. Like, I don't think he's looking particularly good. Like, his deep throws aren't connecting as much as they used to. I don't know. He's led the NFL in turnovers since he came into the league in what was that, 2018, I think? That's when he came in. Yeah. And the Giants, because I just think they're in for a regression year. I don't know. They didn't invest in any like wide receiver talent for Daniel Jones. Their best receiver last year was like Richie James, and he's on the Chiefs now.
Yeah.
They brought in Darren Waller, but he can't stay healthy at all.
He's already hurt.
Yeah, he's already got a hamstring issue.
Yep.
And they said it's not even like a muscle issue; it's like a nerve issue in his hamstring. So like,
like Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, like I think those two teams are, like out of teams people thought would make the playoffs, I think they have the most to be concerned about.
Wow.
I'm not concerned about the Bengals at all, really, even though they sucked week 1.
They look bad. Yeah, I like those picks. I have nothing to add. You hit it all there. So looking at the remainder of this year, Kyle, who will win more games, the Bears or the Jets?
The Jets, because they have an elite defensive unit. The Bears have an elite, like, nothing. Like maybe we have a good punter, I guess. Like he's pretty good.
That comes in handy when you stink.
Yeah. Like Cairo Santos can sometimes make long field goals. Sometimes he can't. Depends how he's feeling. But yeah, it's the Jets easily. Like their defense can win. That's what they did last year pretty much. I think they won 7 or 8 games with Zach Wilson and Joe Flacco and Mike White playing quarterback. Yeah, I think it's the Jets easily. Like that defense will win them games.
Over under 8.5 wins for the Jets.
It really depends if they bring in like someone else at quarterback. But as of right now, I would say under. I think they get 8.
That would still be an improvement over last year. Last year they were 7-10. So I mean, there you go. Okay. Well, obviously, after 1 week, we have 16 winners and 16 losers. Of the 16 winners, how many do you think will move on to 2-0 and remain unbeaten?
How many? I thought the question was just who's going to be the longest undefeated.
That's right. Or maybe I had 2 questions there. Let's do that one then. Who will be, of those 16 teams, the last unbeaten?
I honestly think it will be the Lions because I looked at their schedule earlier. It's pretty easy up until like week 7-ish, and even then there's winnable games in there. I would have said the Cowboys or Niners, but they play each other week 5, so like can't really, I couldn't confidently pick either of those two to be the last undefeated when they play each other so early in the season.
Yeah,
but the Lions, their offense, like they just keep possession throughout the game because they have such a good O-line and they can just run it with Gibbs and Montgomery. Then Amon-Ra is always open on like the big third down, 2nd and long, 3rd and long plays. He always gets open and like makes a great catch. Then when Jameson Williams comes back, they got someone else to throw to, even though I think that is week 7 when I have them like maybe losing their first game to the Ravens. But who knows if the Ravens, like what players are even going to be alive on that team then.
It's sad. Poor J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah, I thought he was going to be good this year, but he just can't stay healthy at all.
No, snake bitten.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Lions, interesting. Even though they play the Packers in week 4?
I think the Lions are better.
That's fair. We shall see over the course of this year. We play them Both times we play them on Thursdays, if I'm not
Really?
mistaken.
Oh,
Yeah.
probably on Thanksgiving, one of them,
Yeah.
I've had to
Yep.
guess.
Yep. That's exactly right. Okay. Well, in week one, we saw some struggles amongst the elite QBs. You mentioned Josh Allen already, but of the three ones who really struggled, of like that higher tier, those being Lamar, Joe Burrow, and then Josh Allen again, which of those quarterbacks would you be the most concerned about moving forward?
Well, like I said, Josh Allen, I think like he's trying to make too many superhero plays these days too, because like Gabe Davis didn't develop into the wide receiver two they thought he would be after that playoff game a few years ago where he caught like 3 touchdowns against the Chiefs or something.
Yep.
He doesn't trust people, so he just tries to take off with the ball and takes those hits where he loses the ball, and then he tries to throw those deep shots when Stephon Diggs is like, triple covered because there's no one, really worth covering on the team besides him. It just gets picked. Like, I don't think he's looked good since like the first half of last year. Like when I think he hurt his shoulder against either the Jets or Dolphins last year. I know it was a division game, but he just hasn't really looked good since then. I think Burrow is the one I'm least concerned about because he had no preseason. He came back like a week before the first game he started practicing again. So I'm least concerned about him. I guess that puts Lamar in the middle.
Yeah.
He's Lamar. He'll do some crazy stuff. Then he'll just, throw a bad pick, but he'll make up with it with his legs. And that's how I rank him. Allen, Lamar, then Burrow in concern order.
That's fair. Obviously Burrow last year started week one really bad and then bounced right back. Josh Allen, it's, I'm still hopeful that he's still the guy we've seen in the past.
Yeah.
But God, man, he's got to get it through his thick skull. Like, take care of the ball like that. Even worse than the picks was when he just nosedived with the football at the end of the half into two defenders when it was like 3rd and 8 or something like that. Like,
and he was like 7 yards from the first down marker.
What are you doing? It was like, that's like, the typical player that you're always like, man, they're just, they're so talented, but God, they just can never do the right thing.
The more that goes by, I think Brian Dable was like the biggest reason for his success. I don't know. I think he needs like Brian Dable to be like, he's still really good to be like an upper tier top 3 guy. I think he needs Brian Dable to be his coach because he just, I think he has unlocked something in him that he hasn't had since he left.
Off the dome, who's your top 5 QBs right now? And I don't care about the order, just top 5.
Just top 5?
Yeah.
Mahomes, Burrow. I'd put Trevor Lawrence in there at this point.
Wow. You've been listening to too much Nick Wright.
Yeah. No, I just think Trevor Lawrence is really good.
I do too.
I'm just trying to think of quarterbacks right
now. Lamar.
Tua could be arguably in there.
Wow.
I don't know. I don't think Lamar is.
Herbert?
Herb. Yeah. He has the talent, but like the team around him just kind of falls apart sometimes.
Yeah.
And like, I'd like to see him win some more of those close games, but there's only so much you can do when your defense gives up 36 points in week 1.
Yep. And
then last year in the playoffs, when the defense gives up like 27 like unanswered points.
Yeah.
Like, there's only so much he can do. Like, you'd want to see him, convert some more 3rd down to make some bigger plays. But at the end of the day, he can only do so much. Even though it's the most important position on the team, one guy can only do so much.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. So then for sure, you've got Mahomes, Burrow, Trevor, Herbert. You said you think Tua. Would you put Hurts over Tua?
I think that those two are kind of like the last two for the 5th spot. I'd honestly put them like, I don't know, based on what Hurts did last year, I'd put him 5, but I think Tua could beat him out for that spot by the end of this year.
Interesting. Well, if they win the AFC, you might be on that same playing field.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's start looking forward as our last topic here today. We're going to be doing our picks for week 2. And since I did so well last week, I'm rolling with the name. Joe Stradamus is here to stay. Kyle joining this week. Last week, I went 11-4 straight up, 9-6 against the spread. I'm not counting Thursday night. Neither will I be counting it this week as it is happening while we record.
Well, Jefferson almost just scored.
Who just scored?
Jefferson almost just scored. Got knocked out the 1.
I need the points. Different league. So let's move past that game, and we're actually going to start with Ravens Bengals, and the Bengals are actually favored by 3.5 here. Kyle, who you got?
You said Ravens Bengals, right?
Yep.
Who's
in Cincinnati?
I think this is a big bounce back week for them because last week in Cleveland the weather was really shitty. So like they love passing the ball, and Cleveland's kind of a ground and pound with like Nick Chubb, and their defense. I think this is the week where T. Higgins had 0 catches last week. I don't see that happening again. I think this is the week their offense takes off. But the Ravens do have a pretty good defense. But I'm going to take the Bengals. I think the Bengals will win this one. I got the Bengals.
I picked the Bengals as well, and I do think it'll be a tight one. 27-23 is what I picked. So I have them barely covering, but a game I would not be super confident in betting because, that Ravens defense is good. And I think the Ravens offense is just kind of getting going. Like they need Mark Andrews
Zay
back.
Flowers, he's going to be – Zay Flowers is next.
He looks nice.
Dude. Yeah.
He looks like he'll be wide receiver 1 for them, except for maybe Andrews, but in the receiver room.
Yeah.
But either way, should be a good game there. You've already tipped your hand here, but Seattle going to Detroit. Detroit is favored by 4.5. You again tipped your hand, but I'll let you.
I think Seattle's defensive line is not very good, and Detroit can just run the ball. Like last year with Jamal Williams and this year with David Montgomery, who I am a fan of. I always loved Montgomery on the Bears. And last week, it just looked like he was the perfect replacement for him. They used him in all the same spots they would. And I honestly think he has better hands than Jamal. So he's a bigger weapon. But I think the Seahawks defense just can't stop that Detroit offense. They're so good. And Detroit's, defense is much improved this year. So I think Detroit's going to win. I think it'll be a close game, but I think Detroit's got this one.
Well, this is our first disagreement. I hear your points, but I'm actually taking Seattle to win. I like them, especially with the point spread, but I do want to pick them straight up. Kind of like a shootout style. I see Seattle winning like 31-24 or maybe 31-27. I think Seattle's a little desperate. I think that can play into it a little bit early in the season. And Seattle outclassed the Lions each of the last couple seasons when they have matched up. So that was part of my factor there. But I definitely could see this going either way. But I went with the Seahawks personally.
Okay.
Next up, we've got Indianapolis traveling to Houston. What a game. Indy is favored by 1.5, so it's basically a pick 'em.
Is Anthony Richardson going to play?
I sure hope so.
I think if he plays, they win. I think he's the best rookie quarterback just based off what I saw week 1.
Which is wild.
Whatever. I think he's the best to see it off based off 1 week. I was watching that game a lot because they're playing the Jaguars. I like the Jaguars. One of my probably my second favorite team at this point.
There you go.
Yeah. But I think Richardson just looks great. Like he kind of looks like Justin Fields, but bigger. He can run, but it looks like he already has better control on the ball. He was dropping dimes to Pittman last week.
Thank God. Need those points.
Yeah. And the Texans, I just don't think they're very good.
No.
They had the second, third overall pick this year. I know they traded for one of them, but I just don't think this is the year for them. No. I like DeMeco Ryans, and that defense will probably get better throughout the years, but I just think, the Colts are better now because they have more veteran good players, especially on that defensive line.
Yeah, that's fair. And, the Texans are banged up on the O-line. They were feisty, though, I will say, with the Ravens. It took a while for that game to get out of hand. But the Texans offense just freaking stinks. I
Yeah.
got the Colts winning 20-17. I think the Texans defense will have a good game plan. But if it's Anthony Richardson, he'll make just enough plays. If it's Gardner Minshew, he'll make just enough plays. I've got the Colts. Next up, we've got your favorite game of the week, Kyle. We've got the Bears going to Tampa Bay to battle with the Buccaneers, the battle over the Bees, and the Bucs are favored by 2.5. Not big of a spread, but
yeah, I got the Buccaneers winning. They have an elite D tackle, and our interior offensive line sucks. They're going to be getting pressure all game. They still have what's his name? What's his name?
Barrett.
Yeah, Shaq Barrett. He's still good. Joe Tryon, I think his name is, has been getting better throughout the years. Your other D end. They still have that good linebacking duo. And they have Mike Evans and Godwin, who I don't think our DBs could really cover. They have Baker at quarterback, but I feel like they can get just enough done to beat the Bears. The Bears haven't shown anything for me to believe in them to win this game. If Fields does great, happy for me, but I don't think they're going to win.
Yeah, and I definitely have gone back and forth with this game because I could see this being one of those games like last year where Fields just kind of snapped and had a really good game. But yeah, I agree, especially with Vita Vea being just a pest in the middle.
Yeah.
I have Tampa Bay 27-23. I think you guys will look better. But better than week one, but still not getting all the way what you want.
I saw a stat today on Twitter that the last 3 times the Bears have played in Tampa Bay, they've been outscored 80 something to 10. So,
wow.
Yeah, they don't play good in Tampa.
Well, that's what my colleagues have been telling me is that, Bears don't play good in Florida. I know the Packers don't play good in Florida.
It's just the northern teams going down there, it's just so hard on them.
I guess. Are we soft? I always call them soft when they come up to the cold.
I guess it goes both ways.
It cuts both ways. This might be my favorite game of the week, and that's Kansas City going to Jacksonville. Kansas City's actually favored by 3.5.
It all depends if Travis Kelce is playing, in my opinion.
I agree.
If he's playing, I think they win kind of comfortably. But if he doesn't, I think the Jaguars can beat him by a 1-score game. Because I think the Jaguars offense, led by Doug Peterson, he's a great play caller, great offensive coordinator. I think they're going to be one of the best offenses in the league this year. So without Travis Kelce, I would predict them, but with Travis Kelce, I think the Chiefs win. So, but if I have to pick one, I'm going Chiefs because I think he's going to play.
Yeah, fair. And I kind of went through a similar setup there, so I kind of split the difference between your options, and I got Kansas City 27-20. I think this will be a really good game with or without Kelce, though, because the Jags offense is really good, and I'm really excited about it. But I'm actually very excited to see this Chiefs defense with Chris Jones, because without Chris Jones, they held a high-flying Lions offense to 14 points. The Lions got that pick 6 that gave them the W, but I like the Chiefs defense. I do.
They're not bad, but just without the guy who makes them go, they weren't
right
what they could be.
And I think we'll get a really good test of that for both of these teams this week. That'll be one of the things I'm paying most attention to.
Oh, yeah.
Next up, we got the Packers going to Atlanta to visit the Dirty Birds, the Falcons. Packers are favored by 1.5.
I think the Falcons are going to win.
Oh,
the Packers have never been good against really good rushing offenses. And Algier and Robinson, they look like they're the new Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara. Honestly, the way they used them last week, I just don't think the Packers can stop them. The Falcons' defense is much improved this year too. Maybe they can get more pressure on Love this week and make him uncomfortable, and he doesn't look perfect like he did last week, against a pretty bad Bears defense. But I think it'll be a close game. I think it'll be a low scoring game too, but I think the Falcons will just kind of get a lead in like the early fourth quarter and just kind of run the game out.
I agree with some of your stuff. They will get more pressure on Love because you can't get less than the Bears did. So that's just the fact. I agree it'll be a low-scoring grinder game because I do think the Falcons' defense is much improved. I like what the Packers' defense looked like too. I am taking the Packers, though, because I simply think Desmond Ridder is terrible. So, yes, that rushing offense can tear us apart, but I don't think we'll put any respect towards any of the weapons that the Falcons have.
So much. They have Drake London and Kyle Pitts, and they just decide not to use them, you know? Why? I don't get it. They're so good. They were so good in college.
Maybe it's Arthur Smith, the coach. He just runs too much. I don't know.
Arthur Smith, he was the Tennessee offensive coordinator before.
Yeah, and what did they do? Run.
Yeah.
Hey, Derrick Henry, you good for 35 carries? Stick. Yeah, I got Packers 24-13. I think we'll struggle for a while on offense, but I think their offense will really struggle too and have a lot of drives that kind of stall out.
Yeah, I also think LaFleur is just a much more innovative coordinator, can pull something, draw something up at halftime, where 100%. Arthur Smith will just be like, Algier, Robinson, run, both
Yeah, I could see it being another 7-6 game type thing at halftime. And then exactly like you said, Packers come out, make adjustments, and take control like they did last week. Because, that game was close heading into the half.
Oh, yeah, no, trust me. I was thinking the Bears, if we can score in this, these red zone situations, we have this. And then they didn't have it. They simply didn't have it.
And now, because they didn't have it, you've lost all hope.
Pretty much.
Next up, this is the biggest spread of the week. The Raiders are going to Buffalo against the Bills. And let me just double check. Bills are favored by 9.5.
I didn't watch much of the Raiders last week. So I didn't watch that game at all. Yeah. Is Chandler Jones with the team right now, or?
I want to say no, just with how dramatic everything was. But I don't know.
Not that it really matters, because I think the Bills are going to take care of business this week, but he could make life a little harder for Josh Allen if he's there. Him and Crosby, together, a pretty good duo.
Yeah, but I agree with that.
I think the Bills kind of went in a blowout, but at least 2 touchdowns.
I agree. And even though it is a huge spread, I've taken the Bills to cover. I think they're just angry and embarrassed, and they're going to take it out on a bloated 1-0 Raiders team.
Jimmy
38-17. Jimmy G. No. So I agree. Bills are that'll probably be one of the less entertaining games of the week, in my opinion.
Yeah, I probably won't watch much of that one. I'm probably not going to watch much of that one unless it gets close at the end. Yeah.
Never on its own.
No.
This next game is kind of an interesting one. I kind of went back and forth. The Chargers are going to the Titans in Tennessee, and the Chargers are favored by 3.
I think the Chargers are going to win this comfortably. Even though Tennessee has an amazing defensive line, they just have guys coming at you the whole time.
Yep.
They got Jeffrey Simmons and Arden Key and Autry, D'Amico Autry. I forget the other, Harold Landry.
Yep, he's a beast. He might be the best one.
Yeah, and then besides that on defense, they don't really have too much, I don't think, unless I'm forgetting some people. Yeah, okay, one safety. Unless I'm they lost David Long in the offseason, who was pretty good for him at linebacker last year. And their offense wasn't very inspiring last week. I think they only scored on field goals.
They did get robbed on a touchdown on defense, though.
I think Tannehill's just kind of cooked. And by I'd say by week 7 or 8, one of Malik Willis or Will Levis, I don't like how similar their names are is going to take over as the starter. I guess they give Levis? Yeah, I think they give Malik the first shot because he's got, more experience, a little more experience than Levis.
Yeah.
But I think the Chargers win this one comfortably.
I have the Chargers winning, but I have it being a squeaker, 27-24. And the reason being is that, one, Chargers are going to Charger. They're going to do dumb things. But then too, like they're going from California to Tennessee, like the
It's a
cross
pretty far,
country
yeah.
travel, like that does historically affect the Chargers, and I've discounted it plenty of times in picking them, and I'm kind of discounting it now and still taking them. But this is a game I would kind of be afraid to bet because Vrabel is way better of a coach than freaking Staley is. And,
Oh yeah,
he
Vrabel's one of
might,
the best coaches in the league.
I agree. And even though the Titans aren't that good and Tannehill's cooked, like I could see Derrick Henry like running all over the Chargers defense because their run defense has stunk for years now.
Yeah. It's crazy.
But yeah, I went back and forth, but I do still have the Chargers. I just think it'll be a closer game. The next game here is the next biggest spread of the week, and that's the Niners favored by 8.5, going to LA, back to SoFi to play the Rams.
Oh, this is easy Niners. Easy. I saw a stat that was, I think they're either 8 or 9-0 against the Rams in their last, that many, how many regular season games, 8 or 9.
Except the playoffs.
Yeah, yeah, but regular season, they own the Rams.
I agree with that.
Yeah. Like they run like the same style offense, but like the Niners just have a much better defense,
Yeah.
And like I think they have better skill positions. They got, CMC and Debo and Ayuk, who, I already said I love. And then Kittle could catch, yeah. He's not been used much since like Purdy's been quarterback, but he's good to get like 1 or 2 long touchdowns, every now and then. So I think the Niners win comfortably.
Again, I agree with you in terms of the final result. I got the Niners winning. I actually do like the Rams to cover though and keep it. It'll be kind of closer than it feels. Like it'll always feel like the Niners are in control. But I think the Rams will kind of hang around. I got the Niners
garbage time touchdown or something.
Right,
like that.
Exactly. I got Niners 24-20. Last year, the Rams defense actually did pretty well against the Niners. It was the offense that sucked. And I think it'll be kind of similar. But still, I think the Niners are the far better team. I think, they play each other 10 times. Give me the Niners 10 times. I do see the Rams being kind of annoying this week. Next up, we've got the Giants going to Arizona to play the Cardinals. Giants, coming off a very large embarrassment, are still favored by 5.5 against perhaps the presumed worst team in football.
The Cardinals didn't even, like, I know they were playing the Commanders, but that defense looked amazing. The Jonathan Gannon-led defense, the old Eagles DC, but like their offense with Josh Dobbs is just kind of like embarrassing. Yep. So I think this week Brian Daboll puts the Giants to like a shit, so much shit, talks shit to them, riles them up, and they pull out a win this week. I don't know. I think they'll win by like anywhere from like 3 to like 10 points, but I think they win this game.
Yep. I agree. The embarrassment factor, I think, for the Giants is going to be real. And they're going to think that they're going to do exactly what the Cowboys did to them and do that to the Cardinals. Yeah. Not quite, but I do have them winning comfortably. I got Giants 24-7. The Cardinals offense is absolutely terrible. And I do see the Giants coming out very motivated and at least being able to do enough to where like they feel better. Like, we won.
Like,
we got a point.
They're the only team in the league that hasn't scored yet this year. It's crazy.
Yep. And they're one of 2 teams to not have touchdowns, them and the Titans.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Good job, Tennessee.
5 field goals. Then next up, this is a game that kind of a lot of the wind has been taken out of the sails, but the Jets going to Dallas to take on the Cowboys. Cowboys are favored by 9.
It's the Cowboys. I didn't even have a second thought. They're gonna eat Zach Wilson alive. They're gonna play with his bones and toss his head around like a basketball. The only hope I had, like, I think the only hope the Jets have to score is like Brees Hall just breaking a long touchdown or something like that. But even then, like against that defense, I don't know if he can. They have so many just guys. It's crazy.
Yeah, their defense is nuts. And this game is, I still think it'll be kind of interesting because I think these are the two best defenses in football. Cowboys, Jets. Cowboys obviously have the far superior quarterback now with the injury there. However, I do think the Jets can hang around if their defense looks as elite as they did against Buffalo, because the one way you can get the Cowboys defense is by running the ball. And the Jets, they could run the ball. That was all they could do last week, but they could run the ball with Dalvin Cook to some degree, but Brees Hall really.
Yeah.
And I think if they chew clock and run the ball and grind out drives and Garrett Wilson makes just enough plays, like I think that could be real. I think that could be effective. I've got them taking it a very tight game, 20 to, or not the Jets, sorry, not that. Cowboys taking it 20-16, but even just the Jets hanging in there like that would be kind of crazy.
I just don't see it.
I know it's bold. It's a little out there. Next up, we've got Washington and Denver. It's in Denver, and Denver is favored by 3.5. Sean Payton.
You said it's in Denver?
That's right.
I think that plays a big factor into
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because I remember the year the Bears were really good in 2018, they went in there, barely beat them just because the elevation was, so much to handle.
Yep.
But I don't know. I think this is the week Sean Payton really shows us what he's kind of improved at with that offense. Like, I'm giving them this win just based off I think Sean Payton will outcoach Ron Rivera.
Yeah. I agree with that fully. Kind of what you walked through as far as location playing a big factor, and then, the Sean McVay aspect too. I got Denver 26-16. Offense will look better, still not great. Washington's defense is respectable too.
Missing Chase Young though.
Yeah. That's true, but he's been missing for like 3 years. So, I mean,
that's not nice.
All right. Next up, divisional battle. It is the Dolphins at the Patriots. Dolphins only favored by 3.
This is the Sunday night game, right?
Yeah.
I think the Dolphins will pull this out, but it'll be a lot closer than people think. I know you said they're only favored by 3, but I feel like the general populace right now thinks the Dolphins are just going to blow them out. But a Bill Belichick-led defense, I'll never discount that. And they have playmakers. They have good corners. They have good safeties. Their D-line is good. Their linebackers are okay. But with the rest of their defense being so good, I'll think it'll be close. But Tua kind of owns the Patriots. I think I don't think the Patriots have ever beat him, or they've only beat him once. So based on that fact, I think I'm going to take the Dolphins, but it's going to be a close, entertaining game in my opinion.
I agree. I think it'll be very similar, maybe not necessarily in terms of the back and forth nature, but kind of like Patriots last game against the Eagles, closer than people thought. But I'm going to take it one step further, Kyle. I'm picking the Patriots. That's my upset of the week. I'm taking the Patriots 28-24. The Dolphins are as advertised, but Bill Belichick is going to dial it up. They've got some physical corners that can get their hands on those speedsters and slow them down just enough. And Mac Jones is okay just enough to where he can make just enough plays, and they pull out a much-needed win. Give me the Patriots in Foxborough.
I just don't think I don't like Mac Jones as a quarterback. I feel like he just makes he's most of the time he makes the right decision, but in the worst spots he just throws a dumb ball that gets either picked or doesn't get to the guy in the right spot. Just ends up incomplete.
Yep.
I just don't trust him.
That's fair. And hey, last year, the first time these guys matched up, that's pretty much what happened. The Patriots like locked down the Dolphins for most of the game. And then Mac Jones is like, Devontae Parker, triple coverage, pick. So that's fair. But I think the Patriots are due. They've been getting dominated in this matchup too much lately for my liking.
Yeah.
So I know it's bold. I know it's out on a limb, but I like the Patriots this week. Last two games for us here. Two ones, both again, more divisional battles here. I went back and forth with each of these, but the Saints going to Carolina to take on the Panthers. Saints are favored by 3.
I think that the Saints, they didn't put up a lot of points, but I kind of liked what I saw from like their offense. Like I feel like they moved the ball well. And like I think they'll look a lot better when Kamara's back and Carr can just kind of check it down to him. But the Panthers, they're just like kind of a young on offense, especially young and experienced team. They got Bryce Young thrown to Jonathan Mingo, who I really like Mingo. I think he's gonna be really good. But like right now, the Saints defense is still pretty good, you know. I think the experience is just going to win out in this game for the Saints. I think it will be like a 10 to 7 point win, I'd say, for the Saints. But yeah, I think Derek Carr's criminally underrated at this point. I think he's going to have not like a great game, but I think he'll lead them to a win.
I agree. Criminally underrated, first and foremost. I'm a big Derek Carr guy, Kyle, so respect there. I got the Saints too. I think I have a tighter game than you do. I've got Saints 23-21. And part of the reasoning is that last year, obviously very different teams, different regimes, even in coaching. But last year, the Panthers defense owned the Saints. So I think Derek Carr will help them be better than that. But I do think they'll have some times where they struggle, especially because they don't have Kamara back quite yet.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, the Saints are the better team and the more experienced team. So I think they'll pull it out, even though they are on the road.
Oh, the Panthers did lose. J.C. Horn? He's out for a couple weeks. So it does hurt them. Trying to cover, the corpse of Michael Thomas and Chris Olave.
Olave had a really nice game. Yeah. And Rashid Shaheed. Is that his name, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Last of which, this has got a good chance to be one of the best games of the week as well. Cleveland at Pittsburgh. Cleveland is favored by 2.5.
You said at Pittsburgh?
I thought so. Maybe a double check.
I just didn't hear what you said was home.
Oh, yes, I'm pretty sure. But let me double check since I'm halfway there.
Either way, I think Cleveland's just the better team. Like, I think the defense for the Steelers will disrupt Watson and, slow down Chubb a bit. But I think the Browns defense will win this game again, like they did last week. I think that D-line and those DBs are just too much for Kenny Pickett. Who I think will be, an above average QB in the league. But as of right now, I still think he's kind of rough around the edges. So I think this Browns defense, who has a lot of experience, with that D-line and Denzel Ward and Greg Newsome, a really good corner duo. And Deontay Johnson is hurt. So they got George Pickens and Allen Robinson. I'm not a big Allen Robinson guy anymore after his last year with the Bears and his last year at the Rams, which he was pretty disappointing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the Browns win this one. I think it'll be a close game because the Steelers defense is going to make a few big plays, but I have the Browns winning out at the end.
I might have to disagree with you one more time. I got the Steelers 24-17, and I think it'll be a defensive grinder, honestly. And I feel like the game is going to be decided by who throws a pick six and who doesn't.
Yeah.
And last year, Watson was absolutely terrible when they played each other. And that being said, the Browns did win the first time when they had Brissett when they matched up. But I think the Steelers, again, that kind of like we just got embarrassed factor. I think that whilst the Browns are coming off one of the big wins, very big win for them, especially
against
their standards.
Their main rival,
Right, exactly. The battle for Ohio. So, I think they'll be drinking the Kool-Aid a little bit there and kind of be a little hungover, if you will, from from such a strong week 1 performance. So I'm going with another upset. I feel like I'm heavy on the upsets this week. But yeah, I think Pittsburgh's going to come back pissed off, even without Deontay Johnson. I think they'll establish the run game more this week. And maybe it just unlocks more targets for Pickens, who I think is way better than Deontay Johnson anyways.
Yeah. And then Freiermuth, pretty good.
I hope he's healthy. He is banged up, though.
Oh, is he? I didn't see that.
But they do have Darnell Washington. So, I mean, at least they got somebody.
Yeah, but he's just a house that can run. He's just huge.
He's just a house that can run.
He is, man.
That's awesome.
His pass blocking was great last game. His run blocking, I saw some highlights of it on Twitter, and he was great as a blocker last game.
Good. They need blockers. Their O-line stinks.
Used to be dominant, but now it's crazy how you look back like a couple years ago and all the O-lines that were great are just shit now.
Like the Colts used to have Pouncey.
Yeah, and like the Colts O-line used to be like, oh, they're the best in the league, and now it's like we got Quentin Nelson with one knee and a bunch of other guys.
Yep. Well, that's a wrap on week 2 in our predictions there, and actually really the main premise of all of our content here today on episode 37. Kyle, excellent job here today, man. I really appreciate you coming on. It took a big man to live up to your word and, come be the sad Bears fan for everyone to see, but I very much appreciate it.
Not going to be a sad Bears fan later this year. They're going to get one win, and that'll be against the Packers.
Week 18.
One win. Is that when they play again?
Yeah.
Damn. First and last week? That's kind of crazy.
I know. It's a sandwich.
Oh, man, that game could not mean. Oh, man, never mind. That could be nothing. You guys could be all resting your guys, and Eberflus is trying to save his job just because the McCaskies love nothing more than just beating the Packers and nothing else. But
that's true. Oh, how brutal would that be? You guys go like 3-13 all year, and you're like, oh, at least we'll get a new coach, and then you beat the Packers, and then you're like, yeah, and then like, give them a contract extension.
Don't want that.
Sad Bears fan continued. Awesome. Well, that is a wrap, Kyle. Thank you again. And thank you everyone for joining in this week for Kyle's premiere on episode 37 here. Make sure to check out the rest of the show on Spotify and YouTube, and give us a follow on Instagram. Share any thoughts that you have, and let Kyle know how he did here today too.
All right. Thanks for having me, dude.
Absolutely. Until next time, Kyle. Until next time, Mad Talk.